Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Today, I want to start with a question. Have you ever tried to lose weight by eating less and less and less and found that at some point it just stopped working? Or the moment that you stopped restricting, the weight tends to come back and sometimes faster and more than you just lost? If you have, you are not broken. There's nothing wrong with your body. It's not that you are not going to be able to achieve your goals. It's not that you don't have willpower. If this has happened to you, if it's happening now, if it's happened to you in the past, it means that your body is doing exactly what it was designed to do. And today we're going to talk about why too much restriction, extreme restriction, can backfire on your weight loss journey. And we're going to be talking about the actual physiology of what happens when you cut too deep for too long. And more importantly, what you can do instead for more sustainable, long-term fat loss. Because the answer is not what diet culture has been teaching us. And once you understand what is happening inside of your body, what your body is actually doing, I think you're going to feel a whole lot less frustrated with yourself and with the process, and you'll have a much clearer path forward. This is information that I wish I'd had back in my 20s when I was really struggling with my weight. And this is a reason why I want to bring this message to you, because this is exactly something that I was struggling with way back then. And it's also something that I still see friends, family members, people in my life struggling with over and over and over. So let me describe a pattern that I see over and over again with women who come to work with me. And it might be that she has decided that she wants to lose weight. She's probably tried many times before. If I'm honest, most of the women that I've worked with have been dieting for most of their life. Hey, just like the 20 years that I was trying as well. And each time the approach is roughly the same. It's like, we want to eat less and we want to move more. We have more portion control. We start to track and measure everything. And we start to become way more disciplined. And this can work for a while, and the weight starts to come off, and we feel like we're actually finally cracking it, or at least the people who are coming to work with me, they feel like they're having some level of success and that it's finally working for them. But then something happens, and then the weight loss slows down. Even though she might be doing the same things. She might be hungrier than she was at the start. She may be more tired and less likely to want to move her body. I know that for me, when I was going through these cycles myself, I would get to about the week 3 or 4 mark, and I would be so hungry and I would be so tired, and I just wouldn't want to work out, and I certainly I wanted to eat more food than my plan was giving me. And this is what I see with some of the people who come and work with me too. And this is when food starts to become that constant thing that we're thinking about. We're running a commentary in our mind that we just can't we can't switch off. And we start having these cravings for things that we don't normally have cravings for. We start to crave things like, for me, it was the vegan ice cream. It was the vegan chocolate chips. Things that chocolate biscuits. These are things that I normally wouldn't have massive cravings for when I wasn't trying to lose weight. But as soon as I wanted to try and lose weight, oh, you betcha, the cravings were there. That food was on my mind 24/7. And so what did I do? And what did most of my clients do? Well, maybe we have a little bit of a slip up, and then we want to tighten up even further. Oh my goodness, we made a mistake. We've got to just pull in the reins and get even more disciplined and tighten things up. So we eat less, we become more restrictive, we push harder, and the body digs in even harder in response. And then inevitably something cracks. For me, like I said, it was about that week 3 or 4 mark. It might be a hard week at work, it might be a social event, it might be a moment of just complete exhaustion, or a big emotion that happens. That was what would happen for me, like either a long week at work, or a fight with my ex-husband, or just like a social event that was coming up, and then I was just all off. A complete rebound, and the rebound eating starts. That's when the weight starts to come back too, because our habits have changed. Sometimes all of it, sometimes more than we started with, more than what we'd actually lost. Sometimes it's only a little bit. But this is where we start to blame ourselves. And this is where we call ourselves weak. We call ourselves undisciplined. We start to believe that we just don't have what it takes to succeed. And that was certainly what I was telling myself at the time. I thought I was just weak. I thought that I was going to have to live with this weight forever. I was in my mid-20s, and here I was thinking that I guess I'm just going to have to get used to this. But that story is wrong. It was wrong for me. It's wrong for many of the women that I work with. And what's actually happening in this moment is it's a basic survival mechanism that's been protecting human beings for hundreds of thousands of years, and it's doing its job. So once you understand this basic mechanism, you can start working with your body instead of fighting it. So I want to give you a metaphor that I use all the time because I think it makes this concept land quite quickly for us. So I want you to think about your body fat like a savings account. So when you earn more money than you spend, obviously the surplus that you earn goes into a savings account, or it goes somewhere, it builds up. When you eat more than your body expends, it then stores that excess energy as body fat. It's the same principle. Your savings account is like your survival fund. It's your oh shit fund. Same as your body fat. This is your famine fund. It's your oh shit fund. This is the when we don't have resources, we've got something to tap into, which is actually a very, very brilliant design. We want this. We want to know that we have this reserve in order to be able to survive through periods of famine. And if you think about most of human history did not live in this food abundant world that we have today. Most of human history has been about getting enough calories into the human body. It's been living through periods of food famine. So I want you to imagine now that your income suddenly drops. Maybe you leave a job and you've got a period of time without earning anything, or maybe you take a pay cut. You change jobs and you take a pay cut. Or maybe, and this is something that I actually lived through, maybe you leave your income, your salary, to go start a new business, and you've got a certain amount of reserve in your savings account to get you through a certain period of time. I had roughly a year's worth of savings in my account, and that was to get me through a period of time I knew where I wasn't going to be earning money. Because as I started this business in 2020, I knew that it was going to take time for things to actually, get into place, and for me to start figuring out what I was doing, getting my foundation set up. I was still going through health coaching school, and I knew it was going to take time for me to actually start working with clients. And so I went from a steady salary to no income. and I knew that that was going to be the case. But what we don't do in periods like that, when our income seriously drops, we don't immediately go and drain our bank account, drain our savings account. We don't go and burn a hole straight through it, do we? We don't keep spending at the same rate we used to. Because that savings account is our security. It's our buffer. And if we drain it completely, if we keep spending money at the same rate we probably were when we had that secure income, well, we're going to probably be in serious trouble. And so what did I do during that period? I looked at my budget, and thankfully, I'm going to say this is a really good thing actually for me at the time. COVID closed down the world. So did all the social events. We couldn't go out with our mates. We couldn't go out to restaurants. We couldn't do the same social activities. And for me personally, as I was starting this new business with no income coming in, this was a good thing because it forced me to spend less money. So it meant that my reserve savings were actually going to last me longer. So if you think about how the body works, the body does exactly the same thing. When you go into this extreme restriction, your body starts looking at its energy expenditure and starts cutting what is not necessary. So it will start slowing your metabolism. It's going to reduce the energy that it puts into certain functions that are maybe important but not immediately critical for your survival. And it gets more efficient with every single calorie that comes in, just like I was getting way more efficient with every single dollar that I had in my savings account. And simultaneously, as we are protecting our savings account from draining, your body is protecting your savings account as well. It will hold on to more of that body fat tightly. And your body may interpret severe restriction as a threat to that energy availability. In that state, it's going to conserve the energy and it's going to defend its reserves. So it's just like, what I was doing. Because I didn't have the income coming in, I was conserving what was going out. I was looking at the expenses I didn't need. Thankfully, I didn't have all the social expenses that I normally would, but I was, cutting things like subscriptions that weren't necessary, that were nice to have when I had, the safe income coming in, but were not necessary for my survival and for my business moving forward. So this is not your body working against you. This is actually your body being extremely smart, and it is trying to keep you alive. So your body is not a calculator. It is an adaptive survival machine. And it is extremely good at doing its job. It has been doing this for human beings for hundreds of thousands of years. This is not something you can just immediately fight against. So let's look at what's actually happening in the body when you restrict too severely. Now, obviously, we do need to calorie restrict if we are wanting to lose weight. We do need to be in a calorie deficit, but I'm talking about the severe restriction here, going too hard. Because understanding what's actually going on in your body makes this all make so much more sense. So first of all, we have adaptive thermogenesis. When you cut your food intake significantly, your body is responding by reducing the energy expenditure more than you'd expect just from weight loss alone. This is called this is the adaptive thermogenesis, your base metabolic rate, the energy that your body uses just to keep you alive, to keep you breathing, keep your blood circulating, your body temperature at room temperature. It runs your organs. All of these internal mechanisms start to drop. Research has shown that this drop can be meaningful, though the size of the effect does vary. This is one reason that weight loss can slow, even though the plan feels unchanged, even though you might say, oh, I was doing really well, and then it all stopped. Right? Your body has simply adjusted to become more energy efficient. And this is why weight loss can slow, even when nothing has changed. This is where the calculator is recalibrating. Now, it is normal for your body to recalibrate, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Think of it like a Mack truck will always require more fuel and burn more fuel than a tiny little Mori Minor. Do you guys remember the little Morris Minor cars? My nanny used to have one. I used to love buzzing around in that thing. And a bigger body, just like that, a bigger body is always going to require more fuel and burns more fuel than a smaller body. So your body starts to become more energy efficient because it is smaller and because it needs less energy overall. So that is one of the ways your body starts to adapt. But when you're in severe calorie restriction, it tends to adapt that more than normal. Suddenly your body doesn't have the resources that it needs to optimize, to operate fully, and so it starts to shut down. And this is part of the reason why we can get sick as well, because your body is not actually getting the fuel that it needs in order to be able to keep you healthy. Then at the same time, your hunger hormones can shift dramatically as well. Now we've got leptin and ghrelin. These are your hunger and your fullness hormones. Leptin is the hormone that tells your brain that you have enough stored energy. So this is the fullness and the satisfaction signal. When you restrict significantly, those leptin levels drop. So your brain receives less of that I'm satisfied signal, and it receives less of the "you are okay" signal, and it responds by increasing hunger, by increasing appetite. Now, ghrelin is the hunger hormone. That's the one that drives cravings and the food-seeking behavior. So when you're in a significant deficit, that's when the ghrelin is rising, and your brain becomes way more attuned to those food cues, and you notice food more, you smell food more, you see people eating more, you think about food more. You're always thinking about, what am I going to have next? Food noise starts to get louder when you are not eating enough food, when food starts to become scarce. This is not you obsessing unnecessarily. This is a very normal hormonal response designed to make you find food and eat it. And it is extraordinarily effective. And it doesn't switch off just because you have a weight goal in mind, right? This is biological. This is your survival instinct. And we want to listen to that, because we do not want to be trying to willpower our way through hunger, but we need to move through this in a way that is going to work with our goals. Now, I'm not saying you never experience hunger on your weight loss journey. You must understand what true hunger feels like in your body, but the idea is that you're not willpowering your way through hunger. I don't want anybody thinking that they have to go hungry. In fact, I keep hearing this on social media all the time from these weight loss coaches who pop up in my reels and on my feed for some reason. People I don't follow, people who are not in the plant-based space. And one of the things that they often say is, one of the signs that you are losing body fat or that you're burning through body fat is that you're hungry all the time. And I'm like, one of the signs that you're starving and that you're not going to survive on your weight loss goal, you're going to rebound, is that you're hungry all the time. I say the opposite. I do not want you to be hungry all the time. You do not need to be hungry all the time. But this is what happens when you restrict a lot, is that your hunger levels go through the roof because your brain is suppressing leptin and increasing ghrelin. It's going, we don't have enough. We don't have enough coming in. It's like when your brain starts to, if you leave a job, or you're suddenly in a job where you earn a lot less money, your brain will be going, you got to go get another job, this is not paying enough, go earn some more money. Like, that's the part of you that goes, go seeking that thing that you want so that you've got enough and you feel safe. There is also another concept called the set point theory, and this is the idea that the body may defend a preferred weight range, and when weight drops quickly, like too quickly, the body may respond in ways that further make weight loss even harder to maintain. And this is where appetite increases, metabolism slows, and energy expenditure drops as well. And I also say that it's not just the body that has a set point. I think the subconscious mind also does. We also, when we start to lose weight too fast, our brain is programmed to notice what is not normal. And too fast, the brain can go, oh my God, that's not me. Who am I? We look in the mirror and we don't recognize ourselves. And it just starts to freak out. Our subconscious mind freaks out about change. And so I think the body and the brain are probably working together here to pull you back into what feels and looks comfortable, looks like you. So we do have all these very subconscious parts of us that are actually fighting a severe restriction and fast weight loss. But the good news is that this body weight regulation isn't fixed, and it can shift, but it must shift slowly. This is why slow weight loss is preferable. When you're losing weight slowly at around about 0.5 kilo, 1 pound per week, you can't notice that in the mirror. You can't see the difference immediately. And you're looking at yourself every single day in the mirror. You can feel your body every single day. It's not very noticeable. And I know that a lot of people panic about this, but I say this is a good thing, because if you noticed fast weight loss, your subconscious, while your conscious parts of you are going to be extremely excited, the subconscious parts of you are going to freak out. Your body is going to work against you. Your brain is going to work against you and pull you back to what was normal. And for those of you listening on a podcast, I'm doing the air quotes here, normal. So we do want slow and sustainable changes, not through forcing the body into a massive perceived famine and achieving fast weight loss. We want slow weight loss, and so that the subconscious parts of us are not freaking out and pulling us back into that normal. So your body isn't failing you. It's just succeeding at the wrong goal. And so your body is to change the goal. I want to give you an example now of somebody I'll say used to work with. And this is an experience I often think about because I think it's such a clear example of what severe restriction does to the body. And this client came to me at a very high starting weight. I'm not going to say what, very high. And they wanted to put themselves on an extremely aggressive weight loss plan. And this is a plan of 1,500 calories per day. Now, for this person's weight, 1,500 calories was starvation mode. And this person wanted to be able to hit a certain gram number of protein, a certain amount of protein in terms of grams per day, which probably, it was very high, but honestly for this person's weight, it probably wasn't too far off what they might have needed. And in order to hit that protein number with such an aggressive calorie number, it had to be done with protein shakes. This was not my suggestion. It was my client's suggestion. This is what they were doing. And then one large salad in the evening that included, lots of different foods, vegetables and starches and beans and things. This person was determined to lose a lot of weight in a very short time. They wanted to lose 60 to 70 pounds in 6 months. And I expressed concern right from the very beginning. I said that this was way too restrictive for the weight that they were starting at. It was too fast. And I expressed that their body was not a calculator. You can't just plug numbers into a spreadsheet and say, this is what I'm aiming for. But my client wasn't interested in hearing this. They had a goal and a date and a plan. And look, I expressed my concern, but I said, okay, if you feel like you feel okay eating this way, if you feel like you're getting what you need, I'll support you through it and I'll be here in case things change for you. Well, then I didn't see my client again for a few weeks. They disappeared. And they lost 30 pounds in 6 weeks, which sounds like success, but I wasn't celebrating because I knew what was coming next. I knew that the oh shit was coming around the corner. And then my client disappeared again for a few weeks. It's almost like they knew they weren't coming to the calls because they knew that they were doing things that I would probably not agree with, and I certainly wasn't teaching. But anyway, a few weeks passed, and when I finally caught up with my client again, those 30 pounds were back, all of them, in 4 weeks. And their body had done exactly what bodies are designed to do when they feel like they're in a famine. And that was the moment that all the old eating habits came back. They said that they didn't feel good eating that way and brought back animal foods into the diet and said they suddenly felt better. But what was happening was rebound eating. They weren't eating enough. They weren't eating enough nutrient-dense foods. A protein shake is not fiber. It is not vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. I looked at all the ingredients on the back of the pack, and it wasn't full of great foods. It wasn't full of great ingredients. I'll just say that. My client had blamed the diet, but the thing is, my client wasn't actually following what I teach anyway. But this is just to say that it's not about blaming my client for the decisions that they were making. It's about understanding why the body was fighting back. This is a story to show you how powerful this mechanism is, the survival mechanism in the body. The body will always fight to win and to fight to keep you alive. You cannot outwit a survival system that has been refined over hundreds of thousands of years of human evolution. You are not a spreadsheet. Your body is not a spreadsheet. It's not. You can't just plug in calculations and expect your body to perform to those calculations. It doesn't work like that. Slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady with behavior change. Slow and steady with weight loss. Slow and steady. We must work with the body and with our subconscious mind. So what do we do instead? If severe restriction backfires, what actually works? Here is the shift that I want you to make. I want you to stop thinking about eating less and start thinking about eating right. Not perfectly, but eating a nutrient-dense plate. The reason that whole foods plant-based eating is so powerful for sustainable weight loss is not because it's some magical diet that works over everything else. As I said, you only need to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose weight. But the reason why whole foods plant-based eating works so well is because of the principle of calorie density. When you're eating whole plant foods, vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, they are naturally low in calorie density, and they're naturally high in volume and fiber and micronutrients, which means you can genuinely eat a large amount of nutrient-dense foods full of fiber that keep you full and satisfied, and yet still be eating low in calories and in a way that supports your health outcomes and your weight goals. So you're not restricting, you're simply redirecting. You're redirecting the volume on your plate, and you're filling your plate with foods that fill you up without the calorie load. And here's what happens when you do this consistently. Your hunger regulates. Your leptin and your ghrelin, your hunger and fullness cues, they stabilize because you're actually eating enough volume of food. You're eating enough micronutrients. You're eating enough for your body to feel nourished. Your food noise reduces. When your body is genuinely nourished, as in getting enough volume and enough micronutrients, as well as enough fiber, as well as enough carbohydrate and protein and fats, the obsessive food thoughts quieten down. Your energy increases, especially if you're eating enough carbohydrate, right? You're fueling your body properly, but also your energy increases because you're eating enough micronutrients. And your body has what it needs to function well, not just, energy for everyday stuff, but the micronutrients for the actual functioning of your body. Your body has what it needs. It's just doing it on far less calories. And your weight starts to move slowly and sustainably without the rebound. And your relationship with food changes too, because now you're not fighting deprivation, you're actually building abundance. So the goal is not necessarily to eat less volume, it's to eat in a way that gives your body everything that it needs without the calorie load so that it stops holding on. Right? This is the difference between working against your body and working with it. Now, note, I break down how to build a sustainable and easy fat loss plate using my plant-powered plate method in my plant method weight loss guide. So if you don't have a copy of that yet, please check the show notes. I've left a link for you to grab that. Now this outlines the simple plate building method, the simple structure that ensures that you get your nutrition needs met, keeping the volume high, keeping the calories low, and helps you achieve a healthy calorie range for effortless fat loss without that excessive hunger. And I want to be clear, this is not a quick fix. Set points take time to shift. Hormones can take time to recalibrate. Metabolism takes time to recover after periods of significant restriction, if that's what you've been doing. And if you've been restricting for a long period of time, you might need to be patient with your body as it finds its footing again. But the direction is right, and it's sustainable, and it doesn't require you to be hungry and miserable or at war with yourself or your body in order to get there. A couple of clients who came to me having not eaten this way before had the easiest weight loss they've ever had. So first of all, my client Trish, she came to me after 2 years of working with a dietitian, 2 years, and in that time she moved about 3 pounds. So the dietitian had her tracking everything, like measuring everything. They were sticking meticulously to their macros and the calorie ranges that she'd been given. So she was doing everything right by all the rules that she'd been given. But when I looked at what she was actually eating, I could see the problem immediately. And it's that she was eating very small meals, and she was eating protein that was, meat-based protein and vegetables, but she wasn't eating any carbohydrates. And what was happening is that she was getting extremely hungry and she was craving a lot during meals, and so she was also snacking constantly. And the snacks were things like protein bars that she thought were healthy, crackers that were healthy but extremely calorie dense, and sort of more convenient grab and go things. So she wasn't eating enough volume. She didn't understand the principle of calorie density and volume eating, and nobody had explained that to her. So when we restructured her plate, we significantly increased the volume of the meals that she was eating, and we brought carbohydrates back in, something that she'd been scared of before. Yay, she got to eat potatoes and beans again. And what we did is we lowered the calorie density of what she was eating. And then something remarkable happened. Oh my goodness, she felt full. She felt properly, comfortably full and satisfied. And for the first time in years, she wasn't thinking about food in between meals. She wasn't craving food anymore. She no longer craved chocolate or crackers or protein bars. And the food noise reduced significantly, and her energy came back. And she was able to release, I think it was 25 pounds in the 6 months with me, which is normal. It's about 1 pound per week, which is very normal and sustainable. And now she's kept going since we've been working together, and I believe she's approaching about 40 pounds. And so in 2 years working with a dietitian, measuring and tracking everything, 3 pounds, but with abundance and volume eating and the right foods, she's lost almost 40 now. So the problem was never her discipline. She was always disciplined. It was not her willpower. She had enough willpower. She definitely wanted this. It was that she just didn't have the right information. She didn't have the right tools and know what she was doing with her plate. Another client of mine had been through a lifetime of trying to lose weight, and like most women of her generation, the approach she'd been given was eat less, exercise more, cut the carbs, reduce the portions. And she tried this over and over, and she felt miserable, and the poor thing, her weight just kept climbing and climbing and climbing. But now she was determined to lose this weight because she had osteoarthritis in both knees, and she needed to lose about 15 kilos, which was about 30 something pounds, before an osteosurgeon would even see her about replacing her knee. So she couldn't even get an appointment. So she was desperate. She was like, oh my God, I've been trying to lose weight my whole life and nothing has ever worked. And because of how she'd been trying to do it, her body kept fighting back. She would probably lose some and then gain it all back and then some. And this is a cycle that so many women have known so well. And this is my cousin's wife, and I love her to bits. And the thing is, she wasn't fully committed to going whole foods plant-based, but I was still committed to helping her because I've known her for, 30 odd years, something like that. And I could see the struggle that she was going through. And I said, absolutely, I'll help you. You don't have to go fully whole foods plant-based. If you don't want to give up meat entirely, you don't have to. I want you to help. I want you to do something that is going to be sustainable for your lifestyle long term. I don't want you to come and do this like it is a diet and then finish when we're done. I'm going to help you change your habits and your plate so that you have got something that you can live with sustainably for the rest of your life. And so what we did is that we completely reorganized what was on her plate. We we started to remove the extremely calorie dense foods, things like the oils and the fatty processed things. She was eating a beautiful organic muesli for breakfast that also happened to be 60% of its calories from fat because it was cooked in coconut oil. And so I just pointed things like that out to her, things that, she thought were healthy, but she didn't realize the calorie load, and that could be impacting not only her PCOS and insulin resistance, but her ability to be able to lose weight. And what we did is we significantly increased the volume of vegetables and fruit on her plate, and we reduced the portion of meat that she was having. And she told me that this was the easiest weight that she'd ever experienced. She lost around, She lost 20 kilos with me, which is around 44 pounds in 6 months. And then after 2 years, she'd lost 80 pounds. She has had both knees replaced now. And she said this was the easiest weight loss she'd ever experienced. She didn't even have to exercise. She couldn't exercise. She could barely walk about 3,000 steps per day because her knees were so cranky. And she's told me she had no cravings, no urges, no food noise, no feelings of deprivation or struggle. The weight just kept melting off, and it was amazing. She just kept going down sizes of clothing. She would order new clothes from one of her favorite clothing stores, and she would order 2 sizes, and I remember she bought a size 18 dress and a size 16 dress, and the size 16 was at one point a little snug. She was thinking of sending it back, and then she put it on a few weeks later, and she's like, oh my God, I've got to send the 18 back. And then a few weeks after that, or maybe a few months after that, she was buying a size 14, and so the weight just kept dropping. And this was not through restriction. This was through abundance. This was through finally eating enough of the right foods to give her body what it needed while being able to get into a calorie deficit so that her body stopped fighting her back. So, before I wrap up, let's just summarize this. When your body holds onto weight or rebounds after restriction, it doesn't mean that you're broken, your body's broken, there's something wrong with you, you can't lose weight. Your body is simply doing what it was designed to do, and that is keeping you alive. It's protecting you. Severe restriction often triggers adaptive thermogenesis that is more than what would normally be expected from weight loss. So your metabolism slows even more to protect your reserves. That same intake that created a deficit eventually stops doing so. Your leptin, your fullness hormones will drop, and ghrelin, your hunger hormones, rise during severe restriction, making you hungrier and more food focused and more susceptible to things like cravings and urges. This is hormonal, it's not personal. And your body treats severe restriction a little bit like a famine. It sort of protects the savings account, and the moment more food comes in, it's going to rebuild those reserves fast. So the solution is not necessarily just to eat less and push more and more and more. It's to eat right. It's to eat calorie dilute, nutrient dense, high volume, whole plant foods that satisfy you, fill you up, keep that hunger at bay without triggering the famine response. So sustainable weight loss happens when your body feels safe, not starved. Okay? Very, very important to realize this. This is why slow and steady weight loss is best. You've got to stop the rush. You've got to stop pushing harder and harder and harder, and find a way to make it enjoyable and sustainable without the hunger. Okay, so if this episode has landed for you today, if you recognize yourself in any of those stories, or if anything clicked about why restriction cycle keeps happening, I want to invite you into a conversation with me. A free discovery call. No pressure, no pitch, just an honest conversation about where you're at right now, what's been happening, where you would like to be, and what you think is standing in the way of you and your goals. And we can talk about whether working together makes sense. So there is a link in the show notes if you want to book a call with me. Come and have a chat. And if this episode with you has helped, if this episode has helped you, I'd love it if you please share it with somebody else in your life who needs to hear it. Or please leave me a review on Apple Podcasts. It takes just 2 minutes and it genuinely helps more people find this show. So the gap between knowing is never about what you know. Sorry, let me start that part again. The gap between knowing and doing is never about what you know. It's all about what you think. And what you think you can change. So, that's it for today, folks. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next episode.